Saskatoon's University Bridge, why the accused was released without charges. Concern over job security at Saskatchewan Polytechnic. Are more layoffs looming? And the Hilltops recruit from south of the border, how one player is enjoying his Canadian experience.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. We begin tonight with yesterday's dramatic crash on the University Bridge. The 37-year-old man arrested in connection with it has been released from police custody without charges and is now in hospital under the Mental Health Act. CTV's Stacey Hine now with dash cam footage of the scene.
University Bridge looked more like a scene from Grand Theft Auto Wednesday morning. This was recorded just before 9 a.m. from Shaugat Mohammed's rear dash cam.
I heard a noise. And then I saw on my rear camera, I saw there was a big accident.
Mohammed says he was driving home after dropping off his family at school. He was crossing University Bridge when, moments after passing this white van, a black car slammed into it.
I was shocked. I never thought I am going to see an accident like that.
No serious injuries were reported. Earlier that morning, a man was seen standing on the roof of a black car holding up traffic in the Stonebridge area. Saskatoon police say the two incidents are connected. Around 8:45 a.m., officers got reports of a black car driving erratically in the wrong lanes and ignoring traffic signals. An officer tried to stop the vehicle on 7th Avenue North, but the driver took off and moments later crashed into vehicles on the bridge. The driver, a 37-year-old man, was arrested for dangerous driving, evading police, and impaired driving. He was later released from police custody without charges and has now been admitted to hospital under the Mental Health Services Act. Meanwhile, Mohammed says he's grateful no one was hurt and reminds drivers that even a routine trip can change in an instant.
We need to be very careful while we're driving.
Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A jury in a Saskatoon manslaughter trial has begun deliberations. Roderick Sutherland's trial began last week. He has pleaded not guilty to manslaughter, unlawful confinement, and offering an indignity to human remains in the death of 30-year-old Megan Gallagher. Court heard Gallagher died inside Sutherland's garage while she was tied to a chair. The judge rehashed the evidence heard in the trial and delivered instructions to the jurors explaining how to apply the law to reach a verdict. The judge told the jurors they must find Sutherland not guilty unless the Crown has proven Sutherland has committed the crimes without a reasonable doubt. The verdict must be unanimous. Prince Albert police have arrested and charged a man in relation to a 2024 homicide. On August 10th of 2024, police were called to a home on 15th Street West for an injured person. Officers and paramedics tried to save 41-year-old Travis Case, but he was declared dead in hospital. After an autopsy, police began investigating his death as a homicide. Yesterday, officers arrested 40-year-old Quentin Gardner at the Prince Albert Correctional Center, where he was in custody for an unrelated matter. Gardner is charged with manslaughter and made his first court appearance today. Jeff, not a bad day today.
Not bad at all. We had ourselves, relatively sunny conditions and on the most significantly warm conditions. And we'll talk about the actual numbers in a little bit. Keeping our eye on a couple of systems. One, a Colorado low that's making its way into southern Manitoba in terms of where it's going to be anchored, but it will impact southeastern Saskatchewan. We expect a lot of rain, particularly around the Weyburn, Estevan, Carnduff areas. And a second system moving into parts of northern Saskatchewan. So a bit of a squeeze play going on. That's a baseball term. And we'll tell you more about that later on.
Now to another round of layoffs this week at Saskatchewan Polytechnic. As Keenan Sorokon reports, it has workers worried about the coming months.
The layoffs at Saskatchewan Polytechnic continue to grow. After a series of layoffs in the spring and summer, the Saskatchewan Polytechnic Faculty Association says a new round of layoffs is eliminating 25 faculty positions.
It's having a chilling effect on students. It's having a chilling effect on faculty.
This pushes the total number of faculty association members laid off since April to 63.
I've heard many people saying that they would rather return to industry.
This number doesn't include include members of the Saskatchewan Government and General Employees Union, which says it lost 48 members to layoffs since August, pushing the total between the two unions to 111 people.
Okay, well, what's the plan? There is no plan that anybody has heard.
Zawada Weeb says she's never seen reductions like this in her 36 years working with Sask Poly, and many are wondering if they'll be around for Christmas. Sask Poly said last week the cuts are in response to a cap on international students from the federal government, which has reduced enrollment.
So much uncertainty, and that's the challenge moving forward for the whole post-secondary sector. Saskatchewan Polytechnic is not alone.
The Saskatchewan NDP says reliable funding wouldn't have put Sask Poly in this position.
It's a $6 million cut as compared to last year. So if you see, it's a chronic underfunding from last number of years.
The province says it's working towards a new multi-year funding deal to keep providing training opportunities. And it's those opportunities Downton fears will be lost if the layoffs continue.
If we aren't educating our students in Saskatchewan, my concern is that we will lose them to the other provinces and they will never return.
Keenan Sorakan, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Volunteers and city staff were out conducting the city's latest point-in-time homeless count today. Led by the city and the Saskatoon Housing Initiatives Partnership, the 2025 count is a nationally coordinated effort that will look to better understand the extent of homelessness in Saskatoon on a given night. Last year's count revealed 1,499 people experiencing homelessness, nearly triple the 2022 count. The data collected today will be revealed in the coming months. Saskatoon City Council is moving ahead with its plans to open a 60-bed shelter. A city committee approved nearly $500,000 in spending for infrastructure upgrades at the site of the future shelter on 31st Street. The city plans to extend the sidewalk from Idlewild Drive to serve the area, as well as installing a fence along a rail line east of the site. The money is coming from a reserve, which administration warned will leave less money to work with during budget deliberations.
We've been crystal clear with the province, the admin to admin, that we will not get into the business of social services in any way, shape, or form.
Plans are to have the shelter operational by the end of next year. Police are looking for a suspect in an armed robbery at a Saskatoon business. Officers were called just before 6 o'clock last night to the 1500 block of Idlewild Drive, where they were told a masked man walked into a business with a gun and demanded money. He then jumped over the front counter and took a tray from the till that had cash in it. He then left the business. A waste disposal company in Regina is being sued by the University of Regina Students' Union for defamation, claiming the company's online publications have been false and malicious, affecting its reputation. Sierra D'Souza Butts explains.
The University of Regina Students' Union and its general manager are taking legal action against Just Bins for allegedly defaming the nonprofit's reputation through online posts on social media. In addition to suing the Regina Waste Disposal Company, the lawsuit has also been filed against former URSU president Harry Kahn, who sat in the role back in 2018. According to the statement of claim, the defendants, quote, online publications are false, irresponsible, unfair, and malicious attacks on the plaintiff's reputation, adding Justbins and Kahn have both falsely and maliciously published statements which the plaintiffs assert to be defamatory. While CTV News is not publishing the content in the post at issue for legal reasons, the statement of claim says the alleged defamatory statements give people the impression the plaintiffs are engaged in unethical practices and mismanaging student funds and affairs, among other allegedly defamatory statements. The defendants have not yet filed statements of defense, and none of the plaintiffs' allegations have been tested in court. CTV News has reached out to URSU and its general manager, Aoun Mohammed, as well as Khan for comment. Justbins responded to CTV News with no comment on the matter. The legal action comes in the middle of a series of clashes between the union and the University of Regina over the past several months. URSU has also called a special general meeting virtually for a second time to determine if the union will be dissolved. The meeting is set for October 21st. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
QP healthcare workers gathered in front of their local MLA's office in Prince Albert to push for a collective agreement. This rally in front of Alana Ross's office was similar to ones held across the province this year. QP says it's not prepared to accept any concessions when it comes to bargaining and that it's time the province put more effort into worker retention.
We want to be able to have a serious look at the retention crisis, the crisis in our healthcare by doing something about retention, keeping our healthcare workers in this province, rather than then leaving this province for other provinces because of wages.
The Ministry of Health says QP, SGEU, and SEIU West declined a 3% wage adjustment offered by the Saskatchewan Association of Health Organizations earlier this year, but is confident that negotiations can come to an agreement that works for both employees and the employer. There are calls for more transparency in how the Premier and his cabinet are spending travel dollars. Out-of-province spending totals are released every 6 months with few details. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation says taxpayers have a right to know whether government delegations are staying at the Ritz-Carlton or a local Motel 6. Wayne Mantika reports.
The Canadian Taxpayers Federation says money spent on travel by the Premier and Cabinet may well be justified, but it wants a more precise accounting.
The bottom line is that taxpayers pay all the bills for the provincial government, and they need as many and as easy ways as possible to access what that money is being spent on.
The government releases travel totals every 6 months. The Taxpayers Federation cites a recent $25,000 trade mission to Mexico that involved the Premier and a handful of officials. The accounting doesn't say who spent what.
They don't post the itemized receipts along with those expenses. And those are important for taxpayers to know because it shows whether the government is spending money on renting a Corolla or a Corvette.
How the government accounts for travel has been a sore point with the NDP for some time. It has proposed legislation that would change that.
We're very concerned about the lack of transparency from this government. Travel's a piece of it. Of course, travel is really important right now, but ensuring that dollars are well spent is something that's always a concern for us.
The government says it takes transparency very seriously and will continue working to increase it whenever possible. Information and privacy commissioners in half of Canadian provinces and in the federal government can order the release of documents, but not in Saskatchewan. It's an issue that the NDP say it will continue to pursue. Wayne Mantika, CTV News, Regina.
The city of Saskatoon says its electric vehicle charging stations will no longer be free at the end of the month. The city had been running a pilot program that launched in May of 2023, offering free charging stations at the Lakewood and Lawson Civic Centres. But at its meeting at the end of August, council voted to start charging users $5.35 an hour. That is expected to fully recover the cost of providing them. The Saskatchewan Environmental Society is voicing its disappointment about a judge's decision to strike down a lawsuit against Sask Power. The Society's application argued government action to expand natural gas-fired electricity violates charter rights because of its negative climate change impacts and asked the court to order Sask Power to set a credible target for reaching net zero greenhouse gas emissions as soon as possible. The court's ruling means the case will not proceed. The Environmental Society says while it respects the court's decision, it's concerned about the future of electricity in Saskatchewan. The Saskatoon Hilltops will enter the playoffs this weekend with a few players from unlikely places. Matt Young has more on some unique recruits from south of the border who have enjoyed their experience with the Hilltops all season long.
I didn't know they took football in Canada so serious. I mean, I knew they played ball. I knew they had their own professional league, but I didn't know it was as big as it was.
That's what Hilltops running back David Collins noticed when he arrived in Saskatoon from Minnesota, where he spent time in the NCAA Division II and junior college athletic ranks before joining the Blue and Gold.
I just really don't think I was looking in the States. I mean, I think I was ready for something like completely different. I was ready for a culture shock.
He says he was connected to the organization by current Hilltop receiver David Boyd Jr., also from the U.S., who spent time with the Regina Thunder last season. Coach Tom Sargent got Collins' highlight film and liked what he saw.
I say, hey, I could use some of that here. So then me and David Collins started talking, and then, somehow, some way, we got him here, and now he's a 1,000-yard rusher for the Saskatoon Hilltops.
He says they found a place for him to stay and got him involved helping coach high school football. Now he's scoring touchdowns and embracing the larger Canadian field.
I like the longer field personally because, not only does it give you a better chance to get more yards, but with the space on the field, you get a lot more plays that you can run.
And the competition level?
There's a lot of athletes that I feel like could play in the NCAA Division II level.
Personally, I think Canadian football is a little overlooked. I feel like it definitely keeps up with football back home. It's very competitive.
Collins is one of 3 imports on the roster, along with David Boyd Jr. and Isaiah Valderutin from New Jersey, all welcomed with open arms. Did you get the culture shock you were looking for?
I definitely did get the culture shock I was looking for. Everybody was super nice when I come here, and they still are. Everybody's super welcoming.
But make no mistake, don't expect an American takeover. Sargent says Saskatchewan athletes will always be the backbone of the Hilltops.
Championships or games or whatever, the heart and soul of this team will always be the Saskatchewan athlete. That's it. That's all.
Matt Young, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Saskatchewan residents who work the front lines of protective services were recognized today. The Saskatchewan Protective Services Medal was awarded at Saskatoon's Parktown Hotel this afternoon. The medal recognizes police, firefighters, corrections workers, border services, members of the Canadian Armed Forces, as well as mobile crisis and family outreach workers for their efforts to keep our communities safe. Each recipient has 25 or more years of service in their field in the province. 149 individuals will receive the medal this year. Still to come, crime crackdown, how Ottawa plans to deal with repeat offenders. Also, what the Canadian government is being told about a major auto manufacturer moving south. You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us. A promise today from Ottawa to get tougher on crime. After years of pressure from the provinces and police, the Prime Minister says a new bill to be tabled next week will crack down on violent and repeat offenders through strong reforms on sentencing and bail. And there's a pledge to hire more police.
The federal government says a crackdown on repeat violent offenders is coming.
It will no longer be up to the Crown to prove why someone should stay behind bars. It will be up to the accused to prove to the court why they can be trusted to be released.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says next week the Liberals will introduce long-awaited bail reform legislation to keep those accused of serious crimes out of the community. The new bill will also amend the criminal code to allow consecutive sentencing for those convicted of multiple crimes, end conditional sentences for a series of sexual offenses, and impose tougher penalties for organized retail thefts. These amendments are aimed at addressing headline-making crimes, including the surge in some cities of brazen smash and grab robberies. But they're getting mixed reviews from criminal defense lawyers.
And I think it's a measured approach. But at the end of the day, they just send a message because it don't really change that much, I have to say. But it sends the message that there is public concern.
I think it may work to curb that type of behavior, but I also think it is a ton of lip service.
These measures come after concerted pressure from premiers, police forces, and opposition parties.
And yet Mark Carney has done absolutely nothing to reverse the Liberal laws that caused this chaos and carnage.
Today, Carney also announced a nearly $2 billion funding boost for the RCMP. Coming in the next budget, the money will go towards hiring 1,000 new officers, increasing the cadet recruitment allowance, and dedicating more personnel to probing financial crimes.
The devil is in the details. We're going to take a look at what comes out next week, but we're happy to see that we were listened to and some of the things we advocated for were included.
Carney is set to continue his pre-budget pre-positioning tomorrow. The Prime Minister has plans to make what he called an important announcement on border security. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Days after car company Stellantis announced it is moving production from its Brampton, Ontario plant to the U.S., we're getting more insight into the discussions between the federal government and the car company. The Prime Minister says he received assurances that the Canadian plant will not be abandoned. It comes as Mark Carney also responded to China's offer to remove tariffs on Canadian canola if the federal government drops tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. Michael Couture has more from Ottawa.
They're looking at different model being produced in Brampton.
That assurance came in a phone call the Prime Minister had 2 days before the company announced it was moving $13 billion in investment to the U.S. Mark Carney also reminded the global CEO that Stellantis committed to maintaining its full Canadian footprint in Brampton in exchange for federal and provincial money.
We need to be strong in terms of making sure that companies that have done well by virtue of the various subsidies or initiatives that have been made meet their obligations.
It comes as Ontario's premier has implored the federal government to hit back on American trade policies that Doug Ford says paved the way for Stellantis to move production.
There's times to hit back and there's times to talk, and right now is the time to talk.
Prime Minister.
That restraint could be tied to a bigger calculation on Canada-U.S. relations.
This is China versus the world.
The American Treasury Secretary is calling on Western allies like Canada to back the U.S. in the trade war with China.
We're going to have a fulsome group response to this because bureaucrats in China cannot manage the supply chain or the manufacturing process for the rest of the world.
That comes after China's ambassador to Canada told CTV's Question Period that if Canada removes its 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs, China would remove tariffs on Canadian products like canola.
It's not that simple. Nor is the relationship in the auto sector that simple as just open a door here with China with no impact on the relationship with the United States and the impact on activity here in Canada.
In the middle of all this, plans are underway for Carney to meet with President Xi Jinping at the end of the month on the sidelines of the APEC summit in South Korea. Michael Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Canada Post says it will prioritize reliable and affordable mail delivery across the country as it moves ahead with major operational changes to cope with a worsening financial picture. On September 25th, Federal Procurement Minister Joel Lightbound gave the Crown Corporation 45 days to come up with a plan to get its business back on track. He also approved changes to the Postal Service's mandate, including phasing out door-to-door delivery. Canada Post says it will ensure vital postal services for rural, remote, and Indigenous communities will be protected. It also pledged to be fair and respectful to employees as changes are rolled out. 55,000 unionized postal workers walked off the job in late September to protest the changes. Mail is moving again as they are now on a rotating strike.
Louise, I'm knocking at your door. I want to hold you like before. Hey, this is Josiah Chester Jones from Transatlantic Folk Act Sons of Town Hall. We're bringing our unique harmonies and hilarious stories to the basement in Saskatoon Tuesday, October 21st. Really hope to see you there. Louise, I know that there's more. So tell us, Jeff, what's the weather going to be like?
Well, Josiah, I can tell you it's actually going to be not bad. Not maybe as warm as we would like, but I don't think we're expecting rain, so that's good news. So we are expecting mainly cloudy skies, but a high of 9 degrees. That's about 2 degrees below seasonal, but not super cold. Once again, the show at the basement is at 7:30. You can go to thebasement.ca to get your tickets to see Sons of Town Hall. All right, moving on to our numbers for today. 11 degrees right now under clear skies. It's 9 in Prince Albert and the Battlefords, and not particularly windy in all three locations. A quick look at Saskatoon's almanac. Today's daytime high was above seasonal by a couple of points. 13 is what we hit today. 11 is typical for this time of October. 26, though, that was the record warm temperature back in 1963. The record cold temperature from 1939, minus 14. The sun came up at 7:33 and it went down at 6:10.
Coming up, Jeff takes a check on your entertainment options, and later, putting the fun in fundraiser.
The NHL season is underway. I'm Darryl Rumbled, and fantasy sports enthusiasts are buzzing. Friday on Your Morning, we are digging into the Keniston Super Draft.
All right, welcome back. Well, lovely blue sky. Now, if the clouds stay away, there's a chance, and maybe not so much for Saskatoon, but maybe Prince Albert and north, there could be a nice northern lights show. Just giving you a heads up, but it all depends on the sky conditions and obviously where you are. Let's take a look at our satellite and radar conditions. And as you can see, this is what I'm talking about earlier in the broadcast. There's a big Colorado low, and it's making its way northward. We expect it to be anchored in southern Manitoba, but on the backhand side of it, impacting southeastern Saskatchewan, some places like Weyburn, Carnduff, Estevan, they could see up to 50 millimeters of rain. And there's another secondary low tracking across northern areas, and that will make its way into northern Saskatchewan. We don't expect as much rain with that system. So it's, once again, just to recap, 11 in Saskatoon, 9 in Prince Albert, and the Battlefords. That's the current temperature. Buffalo Narrows for their second day in a row, the provincial hotspot today at 16 degrees. And for the third day in a row, Loon Lake is the cold spot today at -8. Around the province we go. Currently, it is 9 degrees in a number of locations, including Lloydminster, Regina, Estevan, and York. And it's 10 in Swift Current and Moose Jaw. A closer look at central parts of the province. Temperatures ranging from 7 degrees in both Watrous and Wynyard up to 11 in a number of communities. A lot of places sort of hanging around that 9 or 10 degree mark. Up north, well, 4 degrees in Stony Rapids and Collins Bay, but it warms up to 13 in Buffalo Narrows. It's 11 in La Ronge, 9 in South End and Sandy Bay Island Falls. It's also 9 in a number of communities in southern Saskatchewan. Warmer towards the western side of the province. As you can see, double-digit temperatures in Elbow, Outlook, Leader, Maple Creek, and East End. A little cooler, though, as we make our way to Last Mountain, where it's 7 and it's 8 degrees right now in Broadview and in Coronach. Well, our futurecast certainly indicating what I've been talking about, that system out of Colorado impacting southern Saskatchewan and Manitoba, and then eventually making its way into parts of northern Ontario. And that system in northern Saskatchewan, I'm not going to say it rings itself out, but it sort of cycles around. It doesn't really bring a lot of rainfall. So tomorrow, we do anticipate a little shower activity for Stony Rapids. The rest of the region, without the showers, still hanging around 10 degrees for a daytime high. Similar conditions, slightly warmer in west central Saskatchewan. Kindersley expected to be one of the windy spots tomorrow, but wind will be a factor in many other locations, including Outlook and Swift Current. 10 degrees for Maple Creek tomorrow, 11 in Leader and Swift Current, 13 in Outlook, 11 degrees in Yorkton with a chance of showers. Foggy conditions tomorrow morning in Regina, 12, 13 in both Moose Jaw and Estevan, a windy day in Moose Jaw. And cloudy, rather I should say mainly cloudy skies for Watrous, Humboldt, and Hudson Bay, mainly sunny skies for Melfort, but temperatures generally around 11 or 12 degrees for east central Saskatchewan. Partly cloudy skies tonight for the Battlefords, dropping down to -1, 11 on the plus side, but it's going to be a windy afternoon for the Battlefords. Sunny skies on Saturday, a high of 11, but cooling off with some showers expected on Sunday, and then a cold start to the work week, 4 degrees, but then warming up to 13 1 week from today. Prince Albert dropping down to -3 tonight, 12 degrees tomorrow with windy conditions, 11 degrees on Saturday, and then a chance of showers on both Sunday and Monday, especially on Sunday, and kind of a cool start to the work week. But again, temperatures rebounding to above seasonal values on Thursday. And Saskatoon, -1 degree, some partly cloudy conditions, not much of a wind, and some fog patches will develop. Those will dissipate as we make our way into the latter part of the morning. Winds will pick up as well, basically around noon. Winds out of the northwest 30, gusting to 50. And then on Saturday, well, look at that, 12 degrees with sunny skies, 10 on Sunday with cloudy conditions, and then 6 to start the work week, but warming up to 12 degrees on Wednesday, 14 on Thursday. Woohoo!
You can't make up your mind to save my heart or save your life.
Andrew Hyatt will be live on stage Friday at the Capitol Music Club. Saturday night, the Capitol welcomes Australian stand-up comic Frenchie. Saskatoon Soap's improv comedy is in a spooky mood and set to present Laugh at the Living Dead. This Halloween season show is also scaring up donations for Scat Street Cat Rescue. That's Friday, 8 o'clock at the Broadway Theatre. Hard to handle will be easy to find. Saturday night at Somewhere Else Pub and Grill in the Avalon Shopping Center. Kinjo and Young will be performing Saturday evening at the Basement. It's a Halloween double feature at the Broadway on Saturday. As part of its Art of Terror film series, the theater is screening the original movie from 1978, followed by a drunken cinema presentation of H2O from 1998. Sunday, Paula Cole and Sophie B. Hawkins share the marquee at the E.A. Rawlinson Center in Prince Albert. Showtime is 7:30. Sarah McLachlan brings her Fumbling Toward Ecstasy 30th Anniversary Tour to Sasktel Center on Tuesday evening. They're looking for 8 when they pull that gate. Professional bull riding returns to Sasktel Center for the PBR Saskatoon Classic October 24th and 25th.
All right, Jeff, time for Pick of the Day. It's taking us on a little bit of a road trip.
That's right. It's our travel editions. We're going to start off on Canada's East Coast, and this comes to us from Diane, and she simply says, and she sends us a few pictures, but I love this one, and it certainly speaks road trip. Celtic fall colors in Cape Breton. That is lovely. And then Sona Manic, she was on business in New York City, and got at the last minute decided to take in a Knicks versus Wizards preseason game at MSG, so she went to the Garden. So Sona, I think, had a great time at that game. So a nice way to see the Garden right there. And finally, from Lauren, this isn't from so far away as New York or Cape Breton, but it's south of Cold Lake. This comes from us from Lauren Dick, and that is a lovely Halloween display there. And so certainly he also adds Happy Halloween. So thank you, Lauren, for that. And if you'd like to share an image with us, you can certainly do so by sending it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca. Please put Pick of the Day in the subject line.
Still to come on CTV News, cashing in on clothing, how one man turned lost luggage into a way to support charity.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could win $20,000. For your chance to win, watch CTV Your Morning Saskatchewan, weekday mornings 6 to 9.
For a Toronto man, getting all dressed up feels like Groundhog Day. It's all part of a massive fundraising campaign that shows no sign of going out of style. CTV's Natalie Johnson explains.
This is where it all started with the funky flannel flower shirt.
It all began 3 years ago when Nick Regina lost his luggage on a trip to Texas and found himself with only the shirt on his back.
We're going to see how the flower dress shirt holds up.
Instead of getting hot under the collar, Regina rolled up his sleeves.
I turned the camera around and I had fun on Instagram with the audience, and I said, hey guys, I'm not going to take this shirt off until my luggage gets here, and you could dare me to do whatever you want me to do in it. We're going to the pool. Guess what I'm wearing?
So began 3 days of flowered flannel fundraising.
Fully committed to the shirt.
Collecting donations for the Canadian Cancer Society in exchange for daring to wear this same shirt for every activity.
Is that the outfit from the pool? Yeah.
Wow. For 3 days we were having a lot of fun with it, and then my luggage finally arrived, and everyone didn't want me to change, right? So I said, okay, I'll run the campaign for 30 days.
An annual tradition was born. The funky floral shirt morphed into something a bit more corporate, and Support the Blazer began.
Year 3, we raised $102,000 for Waves of Changes for Autism, and I wore the 101 Don Cherry blazer.
Each year now, the same outfit of the day, every day, for 30 days. A social media stunt that brings in not just laughs, but thousands of dollars for local charities.
It's really helped to advocate for our mission and be able to expand support to help families.
Raising funds is very difficult, and so having the opportunity to be affiliated with this great organization is incredible.
This is this year's blazer.
This year, for the first time, Regina is joined by 65 others dressed in their best, also wearing the same blazer day after day. With $250,000 raised already this year, the Blazers are bringing in big bucks.
This is where this blazer will go in this glass case.
Fashion-forward fundraising. It all began with an off-the-cuff laugh over lost luggage. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
When we come back, we check in with Saskatchewan producers, and later, the photo worth 1,000 words.
It is time to make a big announcement in the Saskatoon Hospital Home Lottery. We are going to be finding out who's won the early bird prize. We'll talk about that in a second or two. But first of all, I want to welcome from MNP Chris Cornelson, and from the Royal University Hospital Foundation, its CEO Jen Malloy, but you're also the chair this time of the Saskatoon Hospital Home Lottery. And as I said, a big announcement to make today. It is the early bird prize, the Mercedes and Mykonos early bird prize, which consists of a 2025 Mercedes-Benz GLE 450 and a 7-night deluxe escape to Mykonos, or $150,000 cash. That's quite the prize, and so I'm sure there's some anxious people out there awaiting the announcement of the winner. But before we get to that, Chris, can you let us know how we got there today, how we got here today?
Well, we sold a lot of tickets, first of all. But I do want to say that MNP is pleased to be the ticket fulfillment and the draw control service provider for the Saskatoon Hospital Home Lottery. And as I mentioned, well, first of all, October 3rd was the deadline by which the early bird prize, you're eligible for this. So all those tickets that were eligible, they were included in the draw, which was carried out earlier by MNP. And we've got that lucky winner in this envelope right here.
All righty. Well, we'll find out about that in a second or two. But before we do that, one last thing. Who benefits from the Saskatoon Hospital Home Lottery, Jen?
Well, the patients of Saskatchewan benefit from the Hospital Home Lottery. It's the largest fundraiser for Saskatoon City Hospital Foundation, St. Paul's Hospital Foundation, and RUH Foundation, Hospital Foundation. And we're just so grateful to everyone that participates in the lottery. It allows us to provide comfort and care, innovation, and helping to attract the best and the brightest to Saskatchewan and Saskatoon. So we're really grateful to everyone that participates.
Well, now we're at the moment of truth. It's time to find out who the winner is of the Mercedes or Mykonos and Mykonos trip, or $150,000 cash. Who's that winner, Jen?
It's very exciting. It's ticket number 10000698, and the name is Bruce Eamon from Grasswood.
Congratulations, Bruce. You've got quite the choice to make, as we mentioned earlier on. It's the Mercedes and the trip, or $150,000 cash. So thank you both for being here. Always exciting to make this announcement. And we should also announce that tomorrow, midnight, is the absolute final deadline to get your tickets. Of course, it's the cottage package at Candle Lake. It's the grand prize, valued at over $2 million. So it's an amazing package. And that is just one of the prizes, but it is the top prize. And how do people get their tickets?
HospitalHomeLottery.org.
All right, HospitalHomeLottery.org. Go online, get those tickets, and don't forget, tomorrow night, midnight, is the absolute final deadline to get your tickets. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Saskatchewan producers are wrapping up this year's harvest with 98% of crops now in the bin. Favorable weather last week before the long weekend snowfall helped producers bring in the final acres and complete field work. The West Central and Northeast regions are leading the way with 99% of their crops harvested, with other areas close behind. Only small amounts of oilseed, chickpeas, and canary seeds remain in the field. Producers are hoping for a bit more precipitation before freeze-up to recharge the ground for spring. A handful of Saskatchewan products will be donning the maple leaf in November. Maddox Schultz and Liam Pugh, both from the Regina Pats, have been named to Team Canada White for the Under-17 World Challenge in Nova Scotia. The tournament features 2 Canadian squads with another duo of former Pat Canadians, Chase Sirkin and Boston Tate, who will also wear the maple leaf for Team Canada Red. For Schultz and Pugh, being the young guns on their team will give them an opportunity to learn more from seasoned players. Other players from Saskatchewan also include Caden Stroder from Lanigan, Calder Hamilton from Martinsville, and Nipawin's Blake Chorney. The rules around how much banks can charge you for having insufficient funds is changing. Marilla Fernandez has more on that.
The Credit Counseling Society says those charges add up to about $600 million in revenue for banks. That's because banks often charge customers up to $50 when they don't have enough money to cover costs. But the rules change in March. Those fees will be capped at $10, and banks won't be allowed to charge you if the shortfall is under $10. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down a fraction. It ended the day at 71.16. West Texas Intermediate also down to 57.48. Western Canadian Select down as well to 47.55. And the TSX dropped 178 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Turning to local gas prices now, the average price in Saskatoon just over $1.25 a litre. The lowest price in town is $1.17.9. On Saskatchewan markets, Cameco finished the day at $1.2805 and Nutrien dropped $2.38.
All right, welcome back. It's time for our, we didn't go anywhere. There you go. That's just muscle memory. Yes, it's time for the rural forecast. And as you can see, we've got ourselves double-digit temperatures, essentially seasonal again, which is not anything to complain about. 11 degrees for Meadow Lake with mainly sunny skies, 11 as well for Lloydminster and Kindersley. Outlook at 13. It will be windier towards the western side of the province. As we mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, wind gusts up around 30 kilometers an hour. Wynyard dealing with some fog in the morning. That will dissipate as we get closer to the afternoon. And again, we've got ourselves a core of temperatures that are relatively warm in and around Assiniboia, Pilotpute, Coronach, and Lumsden. And actually, a lot of places in and around the 11 or 12 degree mark. But what we're keeping our eye on is that system that's moving in from the States. Carlisle expecting some rain showers, as is Kenora. So some places are going to be seeing some rain. And does that include Watson? The answer is no. We've got ourselves mainly partly cloudy skies, 11 degrees, winds out of the northwest, 20, gusting to 40. And we will tell you tomorrow all about Santa Claus Day, which is coming up in Watson in early December. And Watson is where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
Coming up, captivating images prove to be award-winning. Then following in the footsteps of dinosaurs.
Select Hair Services brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
Stay with us for another great night of television, starting tonight at 7 with Hell's Kitchen.
What's going to be on fire in Nashville? Ooh.
Stay tuned. Well, a South African photographer earned top honors in his field after capturing a pretty eerie photo of an animal so rare it took him 10 years to take the picture. Take a look at this haunting image of a brown hyena standing in front of an abandoned building in a former diamond mining town. The prize-winning pic beat out more than 60,000 entries to claim the 2025 Wildlife Photographer of the Year award. Some other amazing photos featured include this longhorn beetle in central Italy posing in front of an abandoned logging machinery, and this picture of an orphan giant anteater trailing its caregiver at a rehab center. So pretty stunning photos.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Pretty neat.
The award-winning one could be on the cover of like a Stephen King book.
It definitely could. It will. All right, this is a pretty cool find as well. Paleontologists have uncovered a set of dinosaur footprints in a British quarry.
We're the first people to see these, and also it's just a really great experience to work on something in the UK of this size and scale. It's so rare to find something this big where you can get that picture into this past world.
They span more than 200 meters and were spotted over the summer. Fossils have been found in this quarry before, including a variety of seashells and a sea urchin. All of these findings are important to researchers as they give clues to where the dinosaurs were walking. They think this quarry was once a lagoon. Look at that. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing when they find these things and they're able to sort of brush away the time.
Yes.
Brush away the time.
Peer into the...
Did you like that turn of phrase?
I did, yes. Very much so. Very clever.
That's right. It's my new album.
Oh, no. I think Santa Claus is your new album.
Brush away the time from my heart.
I think it's time to go. No?
I don't know if I've had too much coffee or not enough coffee. Let's take a quick look if we have time.
What's in that coffee?
Well, it's special coffee, young lady. 3 degrees at 9 a.m., noon 8 and 12, or rather 5 o'clock, we're around 12 degrees. But more importantly, it's going to be a windy afternoon, so hold on to your hats.
You promised to talk about Santa, no?
I'll talk about Santa tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Stay tuned, everybody, tomorrow.
That's right.
Thanks for watching.